I bought my first home at the age of 24, and at the time, I wasn't even sure if home ownership was a possibility. I thought that I might be able to qualify for $100,000, and it turns out that I bought a home for $134,000. Looking back, especially now as a realtor, there are so many things that I didn't know, especially about new construction and resale. And I thought it would be fun just to share my own story and point out the things that I would do differently now. So at the time, my boyfriend's mom was just chatting about how this guy in the neighborhood had won the lottery and he decided to build these three small homes in the neighborhood and how they were overpriced. And she was absolutely right. They were at least $50,000 overpriced, but it got me interested. And of course, I Googled them and looked them up. And then it got me wondering what homes were supposed to go for in that area. And so I just did my own research, dug a little, and then I realized that resale probably wasn't right for me. Even if the home was turnkey, ready to go, I felt like there was something that I still wanted to do to each house. And putting in work into a house just didn't seem like something that I was ready for. I got even more curious about this new construction community. And so I went into the resale office there just to see what that was about. And he showed me a handful of lots that he still had, and he showed me a particular lot that he thought was the best one he had. And then he showed me the different floor plans that could fit on that particular lot. And of course, I found one that I loved, that I thought was absolutely perfect. And so he told me the next steps were just to bring in my financial information. So I brought in my last 2 months of my pay stubs and my last two W-2s. And then I gave him my information to run a credit report on me. And sure enough, I was pre-qualified, and I then submitted my earnest money and began the build process. That build process lasted about 6 months. So the home ended up being $134,000. It was a 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath, 1.5 car garage, and I absolutely loved it. I was especially excited to go to the design center and pick out all the different finishes for myself. Now, I eventually told my family that I had made this decision and asked them for advice. I asked them if I needed a realtor, and they told me, "Oh no, not on a new build. Just make sure you have a fixed interest rate." So I probably triple checked to make sure that I had a fixed interest rate. But other than that, that was the only thing that I was super concerned with. Knowing what I know now, I absolutely would have hired a realtor. A realtor would have saved me so much money, and they would have been working for me. What I didn't realize at the time is the sales rep works for the builder. So they have the builder's best interest. They do not have mine. I didn't have somebody in my corner in my best interest, which would have been a realtor. Also, realtors are well versed in this. They do this every single day. So they know which communities have which types of incentives. They're able to help you find the best fit for you, whether it's new construction or a resale. And honestly, that was one of the biggest things that I feel like I made a mistake on. I could have saved so much money. I probably could have gotten more incentives, more upgrades, and ultimately, I probably wouldn't have paid for that realtor. A lot of these builders have marketing expense for the other side's realtor. Also, because I didn't have a realtor when the inspection came back, I didn't really know what I was looking at to really address any concerns. I just looked at the cosmetic things. So I didn't, again, have anybody advocating for me in those situations. I think a realtor would have also shown me my options, not just that new build. They might have shown me a couple resales. So in my particular situation, I bought a brand new home that was built from the ground up in a neighborhood that was fairly new, that was surrounded by neighborhoods of houses that were built in the 60s. So new construction in general, it takes a little while to gain equity. Well, in this case, it took me a very long time to earn enough equity to be able to resell my house. Now, when I was buying the house, I didn't have any intentions of reselling it. But around the 5-year mark, I wasn't really happy with the area, I wasn't happy with the schools, and so I started looking into selling, and I had a realtor tell me, "Look, you could sell, but you'll probably break even, if that." And so I ended up staying in that house for 8 years before I was able to sell it and turn a profit. But if I would have had a realtor who could show me this is what happens in this situation with this new build, and this is what happens if you were to get this resale, or just explain to me how you price a home, and I think that would have been very helpful. I also, in that house, I did so many upgrades on my own. And so whenever I did go to sell the house, I didn't get that money back. So the person who bought the house got a really fantastic house that was better than anything comparable in the neighborhood. So basically, when you go to sell your home, the realtor is going to pull what we call comps. And so basically, my home was a 3 bedroom, 2.5 bath, and it was, I think, about 1,900 square feet. So the realtor then pulled all the homes with that same bedroom count, bathroom count, square footage, and compared the sales. So whatever those homes were selling for, that's what I could sell my house for. And it didn't matter that I had upgraded the kitchen or put in new light fixtures. Those things didn't matter. Of course, it made my home stand out and more attractive to other homes that were comparable, but it didn't increase the value of my house. And so that was something that I didn't know. Knowing that, I probably wouldn't have put so much money into the house. So overall, I think my biggest mistake was not hiring a realtor because it didn't allow me to make an informed decision. I would have probably picked a house, a location a little wiser. I also wouldn't have put so many upgrades into it. And I probably would have saved a lot of money and time overall, and probably spotted some things that should have been redone with the builder. But ultimately, it was a lesson learned. I'm not mad about it. I'm not sad. I just think that I could have been a little smarter with it if I would have hired a realtor. A valuable piece of information that was given to me at the time was that since there wasn't a structure on that land the year before, the taxes were going to dramatically increase. And to prepare for them, I should set a little extra money aside to the escrow. And that advice was so helpful because that meant that I didn't end up falling behind in my taxes. Another piece of advice was to send about $100 extra to the principal every month to help pay down that principal and thus earn more equity. And I was really glad that I did that as well, because when I did sell my house, I sold it for $139,000, which was about $5,000 more than I purchased it for, but I was able to walk away with about $17,000 and place it onto my next purchase. And another thing that I did was I was able to lease back my property until I found that next house. And that's something for another video. But if you're thinking about moving and just don't know where to start, go ahead and message me. I'm happy to help.